Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this quad. This is the Ti15 frame that I've developed, and I'm not going to do all the electronics building. I'm just going to build the just the carbon frame itself. So let me show you what's in the package when you purchase one of these things. So if you order from Ti15, this is what you get. This is how I package them. And as you can see, it has all the 3D printed bits included. If you order this drone from cncdrones.com, the carbon components and all the hardware components will be the same. The only thing you will be missing are the 3D printed pieces. So let's go ahead and tear this bag open and let's get started. All right, so I zoomed in a little bit just so you can see what all's in here. So if you tear it open, like so. So this is what you get in the package. You get 4 arms. You get your, again, if you order from Ti15, this is your universal camera mount. This thing will fit the 14x14 nano cams and the 14x16 nano HD0 cameras. You get your antenna mount, but it also doubles as your VTX and receiver tray if you're running analog. You got your, this is the standard top plate. This is the HD top plate that you can purchase on CNC drones. However, if you don't want this is the standard top plate that it comes with. And then you've got your sandwich plate, bottom plate, and then this is what locks your arms in place. This is, I call this the anti-wiggle bone just because of how thin it is. And then you've got a couple bags of associated hardware, turtle fin for flipping over when you crash at a race, you know, zip tie for said turtle fin, and then this last little 3D printed piece right here. This is for if you want to run a T antenna mount and have it hang out the back of the quad instead of mount to get to the top plate. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this thing built. So first things first, let's start by getting the arms on the quad itself. That's kind of how I like to start building mine. So for these, all the screws are 2 millimeters. So get yourself a good 2 millimeter driver. Like this is with the Race Day quads one. This one works really well. So you're gonna need to find 2 M3x5 screws. These are gonna be the shortest screws that are in your box. So in my case, it's gonna be these 2. And these go into the 2 holes on your anti-wiggle bone. Oops. Then grab your sandwich plate here. And then what I do typically is I will tighten these down and then loosen them just slightly. So you want them tightened into the threads enough to where it holds, but not so tight that you can't move it. So you see that? You should have some play in the wiggle plate. This is needed just to get the arms fitted into place, but once the arms are fitting, you tighten everything down, you'll go through and tighten these 2 screws. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So next, there's going to be, depending on which frame size you get, you're going to need your 2 M3 by 14 millimeter screws. If you order the thick version, these will be just a couple millimeters longer to accommodate for the extra thickness of the arms. But because we're using 5 millimeter arms, these are 14 millimeters in length. So take your bottom plate, take one of your screws, one of your 14 millimeter screws, slot it through, grab an arm, slot it through like so, and then you just make sure it lines up. See? Because the arm is going to key into, it's going to key in like this, and that's how your screw goes in. Now, one thing I do want to say is if you order this from CNC Madness, if you order this frame from CNC drones, you will probably have to file at least 1 or 2 arms down here and here to get the arms to fit. If you order from Ti15 I do the filing for you, and I test fit everything before I send it out to the customer. It's a bit time consuming, but hey, I like making people's builds easier. And the only reason why that's the case is just because that's the only way I could get this thing, get the arms to lock together without any wiggle. Like, I've tried 6 different iterations, and this is the best that I could come up with. So if you want me to change it, I can work on making a better design in a later version. So anyway, so you key in the arm, like so. If I can get it on camera, that would be a fun shock, right? All right. So once you get it in there, just tighten down your screw, but again, like the wiggle plate, don't tighten it down all the way. You want there to be some wiggle room. And again, that's just once we get everything located, then we'll tighten everything up. So then we'll tighten everything down once everything gets kind of slotted in place. So take your next arm and do the exact same thing. Gotta remember to do this in front of the camera because I'm not used to doing build videos. And if you feel it kind of stiffen up, you feel like it's kind of hard to turn your screw, that's okay, don't worry about it. Everything will lock in place. So you're gonna wanna see these 2 screws kind of come up through these press nuts because that's where your standoffs are gonna go. So for the back arms, these are the ones I recommend filing down in the back because you want your front arms to be able to be swapped fast in a race because usually in races, you're usually breaking the front 2 arms, one of the 2. You're not usually breaking the back. So that's why I file down the back. That way I'm not, you know, trying to file down arms in a pinch. So anyway, take your 5mm, or take your back arm, slot it in place, and then you're gonna want to grab your these are gonna be M3 by 10 screws for the thin. Gonna be M3 by 12 for the thick. And then they just slot in place. And again, I'm not tightening them down all the way. I'm just getting them all situated first before I tighten everything down. And I think I put these arms on. I think I put these arms in backwards. Yep, I did. Yeah, the way I filed these actually need to be flipped, so hang on. You know, let's do something wrong. Yeah, there we go. And the last one should just can like so. Come on. I got these to fit together off camera, but of course once it's on camera, nothing wants to work right because that's just how the world works. All right, it's binding. So once you get to this point right here, this is when you go ahead and tighten everything down. So I'm just gonna tighten everything in kind of a star pattern, like so. Okay, there's that. There's that. And then there's this guy here. Okay, so now all of them are tight. Now we need to tighten down the anti-wiggle plate, or the anti-wiggle bone. So to do that, that's why there are these 2 holes right here. This is so you can take your driver, put it in there, and tighten them down without having to take this plate off. And as you can see, arms are locked in place. They are not going to move. So now let's go ahead and get on with the rest of the build. So we're gonna open up our next bag here. This is gonna have our stack screws and everything. So let's just dump all of them out in a neat little pile. All right. So let's start with the stack screws. So there's going to be 4 M3 by 20 millimeter screws, and these you fit in. They will go through these 4 big holes here. Okay. So you put those on, and then you take your M3 little plastic nuts, and then you just tighten them on like so. Come on. Yeah, on there. And then just snug those down. You don't want to over tighten it because you don't want to strip out the plastic screws. Or I'm sorry, the plastic nuts. And yeah, so you just do this 4 times. So this is what your quad should look like at this stage. Now we're going to add our standoffs. So there are going to be 6 M3 by 6 millimeter screws. 2 of them are going to go in the back right here to these press nuts. Now you might be asking, why are there press nuts in the back of this frame? They're just spacers. Because there's gonna be 2 standoffs that eventually go here, and I couldn't find any M3 by 22 millimeter standoffs, so I decided, hey, I'm just gonna put press nuts in the back to act as spacers. So that's why there are press nuts in the back. Nope. So press nuts, and once you get it to look like this, now you can put your standoffs on. They just screw on like so. Now, at this point, if you want to utilize this TPU T piece, this is for your where are they? Let me find one real quick. If you want to utilize one of these antennas here, what you would do, take your little T-clip like this, put it on the bottom, and then you run zip ties through this hole right here around your little T antenna, cinch it down, and you're good. So that's how this thing works right here. And this just slips on over the back. 2 standoffs like so. About like that. Then your camera just slots down over your front standoffs, like so. If I can get it, I know what I'm doing, which is always debatable. Fits, I promise. There we go. Okay. Now, before we go any further, I want to address how does this thing work. If you just want to use this as an antenna mount, then you can just, cut off this whole tray and you can just use this as an antenna mount. That's totally fine. However, you want to try using the tray. What you want to do first is, before you put this piece on, grab your forward one, ESC. This is just a spare one that I have. And you're going to put this on the quad first. Then you take this piece and it go over the back standoffs like so. And then these two front pieces here, they're the same thickness as one of these plastic hexes right here. So this actually becomes part of the flight controller stack, like so. Come on. Come on, there we go. Okay. And you can just adjust this higher or lower depending on, to make it lay flat, but if it's a little, you know, twisted, if this isn't completely level, that's fine, don't worry about it. But anyway, this is kind of how this whole thing fits together. And then you would just obviously put your two plastic nuts right here, and then your flight controller sits on top of everything, and it's all nice, neat, and contained. So once you get to this stage, the last thing to do is to put on the top plate. Well, second to last thing to do is to put on the top plate. And that goes on. I'm just gonna put the two front screws in, like so. Now the final two screws, the final piece of this puzzle is your flip stick here. So how this goes together is you take your last two screws, you drop them through the back, like so. Okay. So these go through like that. Now, what is a zip tie for? Well, take your zip tie, feed it through the back two of these little slots right here. I'm just gonna feed that down, and then you refeed it through the bottom, like so. And then you take your flip fin, feed one end of the zip tie through the bottom, line it up with your holes back, and then you just tighten these screws down, like so. In fact, I probably should have made this flip fin, these not as thick, it's a little thick for M3x6 screws, but it'll bite. Come on, whatever. Anyway, you get the idea. So that's how this goes together. And then lastly, I'm just gonna take my zip tie, and I'm just gonna feed it through this. And you just tighten it down. And voila! We now have a completed Ti15. And that's the whole build video. That's how the Ti15 goes together. Thank you all very much for your time, and I hope you all enjoy flying your new frame. See y'all in the next one. Bye.